What's going on? Your boy Trigger Mike is back. Yeah, this is just an impromptu. I was going to do a scheduled live stream for this topic, but, I was sitting here bored and I was like, you know what? This is something I speak on all the time. This is a big topic on YouTube, Instagram, and all of social media. It's something I know that people, men and women alike, would want to dive into. So I'm just going straight into it. The question we got right now is, what relationship characteristics should all men have? All right. What relationship characteristics should all men have? I'm going to play a video of a short. I do shorts. Remember to hit up my channel, Trigger Mike Show. Hit the channel up and view my shorts. You're going to pull, or I'm going to pull a lot of my topics from there. All right. So make sure to support the channel if you like this type of content. Cash App is down below. In the marquee, the Venmo is down below. So I want to talk about this particular topic. What relationship characteristics should all men have? So I want men and women alike to come on the panel when I drop the link. All right. So I'm going to play this clip for you. Then I'm going to drop the StreamYard link so y'all can come up, talk to me about this particular topic. I would like to know how y'all feel about it, and then we can get into it. All right, give me a second to pull that up. All right. Here's my short, playing it now. Ladies, listen up. Here are the 3 characteristics all men need to have in order to be eligible for a relationship with you. Men have to be reasonable, dependable, and consistent. Reasonable men practice reciprocity, and they have the good sense to understand how their behavior can affect the relationship. Dependable men are trustworthy and reliable. And by trustworthy, I mean that you should be able to set your watch by the fact that this man is going to do what is required of him at the appropriate time. A consistent man is someone who acts and reacts the same way over time. He's not mercurial, and you usually don't hear women say that he switched up on them. If you surveyed random women about their relationship problems with men, you would find that most women would tell you that the men they deal with are unreasonable, undependable, or inconsistent. And most importantly, ladies, if you decide to ignore that a man does not have these characteristics and you continue to date them, marry them, or worse, birth children for them, you cannot generalize all men to pretend that we are the problem. All right. Go ahead. Stop that screen. Bring it back. All right. So as you heard me say in the short, the 3 characteristics I believe all men should have. All right. I'm going to read them off to you. All men should be reasonable. Number 1, all men should be dependable. Number 2, and all men should be consistent. All right. This is across the board. Every time I talk to women or I'm watching these videos and clips and shorts in the YouTube streets, a woman is talking about a man that does not have one of these 3 characteristics. Essentially, if you summarize everything that they're saying, they are saying that a man is unreasonable. They're saying a man is undependable, and they are saying a man is inconsistent. So I would really like to know, I've already dropped the link in the chat. Anybody, you just want to come up, chop it up with me, talk with me about this. What relationship characteristics do you believe if you want to add to this list? All right. So we do a lot of talking on YouTube about what's going on in the world of men and women and the relationship dynamics between us, but we need to start coming up with solutions too. I dish out a lot of smoke, but I equally want to be responsible for coming up with the solutions. So y'all get up here, let me know, put some stuff in the chat for us to talk about. All right. So definitely look at my boy Hoodlum. Stop putting shit like that in in the chat. My wife is watching this. Look, get your punk ass up here if you want to talk about this, but you definitely know what relationship characteristics all men should have. Ladies, don't be shy. Pop up on the StreamYard link and let me know. So I'm gonna break this down piece by piece on what I believe is going on in our society and why I believe men should have these 3 characteristics that I've named. Men should be reasonable. Just like, I'm not going to say that's the most important one, but it's extremely important. All men need to be reasonable. When I hear a woman complain about an unreasonable man, all right, that she gave herself to, she gave her body to, that is just, it's sad on so many levels. Women need to be with reasonable men to keep up your desire to be with him. When you talk about a man who is unreasonable, like I said in the video, they do not believe in reciprocity. Okay, an unreasonable man plays video games all day and don't help you with nothing. He won't negotiate any terms within the relationship, any reasonable terms to make things easier for you, even though the circumstances have changed in your relationship. A reasonable man is a man that a woman can grow with. Okay, if your work schedule changes or his work schedule changes, and now you have different needs on the family or in your relationship dynamic, if you don't have children, a reasonable man understands his role in that and is constantly and always willing to help, to facilitate, to basically lead the home, because he understands that he has to be reasonable. He has to be flexible in order for your family dynamic or relationship dynamic to work. All right. Being a reasonable man is invaluable in today's society. I tell everyone I know, everybody I know, forget all of these superficial qualities and look for the substantive qualities in men. Women today are complaining because they don't look for substantive qualities in men. All right. Y'all only dealing with the superficial qualities and get mad when a man doesn't have the characteristics or qualities that I've stated. Number one, most important, is make sure a man is reasonable. All right. Make sure he's reasonable. You can do anything with a reasonable man. A woman who has a reasonable man is not afraid to ask him questions. She's not afraid to ask him things and know that he'll deliver. He may not like what I'm saying. Like, women, you got to understand, real wives can tell you real circumstances of what I'm saying. They will say, I wasn't too sure about asking my husband this. I didn't know how he was going to take it, but I put it out there anyway because he is a reasonable man. He will think about it. He will think on it and give me a reasonable response that he thinks is best for the family. You may not like it as a woman, but if you can trust that your man is a reasonable man, you can understand that he pondered and took what you said seriously to give you a response that was from his heart and from his brain that you can accept, that will further your relationship based on what he decided. So that's why I say, number one, make sure you find a reasonable man. That is of the utmost importance in your relationship. All right. Number two, a man has to be dependable, ladies. The textbook definition of dependable is trustworthy and reliable. The textbook definition of dependable is trustworthy and reliable. So let's break that down, because I really like breaking things down. Being dependable is not something people can really misconstrue or mess up, but people try and do it all the time. They do it all the time. So trustworthy. I'm not talking about this type of trust y'all made up today. The women, when they say trust, you are creating some kind of trust dynamic that's only good and answerable to the way you feel about things. So you want to trust a man in the way you see fit, in the Disney, Oprah, and Tyler Perry version of how you think you can trust a man, right? Your version of trust is something that's pretty much impossible for anyone to maintain. That's why as soon as your trust is broken, you want to end the relationship. All right. That's not what trustworthy means to most men. I'm just going to tell you right now. When I say trustworthy, I mean that you should be able to set your watch that this man is going to do what he said he was going to do at the appropriate time. When I say trustworthy and reliable, that's what I mean. This man said, I'm going to pick up the kids after my way from work. You're going to do this. You guys set out a plan, and you know that even if your phone dies, you don't have to worry about the daycare calling you, telling you that he didn't show up. And if that happens, you know it's a damn good reason. You know something happened to him if he didn't show up to do that, because he's a dependable man. You should be able to set your watch by the time, like, nope, he's in traffic right now, going to go get the kids. Nope, he's coming from class right now, so I need to do this. You should be able to set your watch by the man that you're with. Ladies today are choosing undependable men on purpose and blaming and generalizing the entire male populace because of those men, those undependable men and their mistakes. All right. Do not choose undependable men out here. Terrible, terrible characteristic not to have. Damn, ladies. I mean, seriously, y'all can get with a lot of these superficial characteristics if you want to. But if a man is not dependable, that's one of those big things where everybody's going to look at you crazy. The second you catch you catch wind of that, your first few complaints to your homegirls, he's late for dates. He was late to your birthday dinner. He was supposed to be bringing something that had a true effect or that was really big for the event you were throwing. And he was like, these things add up. These are patterns. People can show you a behavior pattern of being undependable very quick, especially if you're interested in them, because you have high expectations and they keep letting you down. So being dependable, remember, means trustworthy and reliable. You should be able to set your watch by that man that you're with, knowing that he's going to do what he said he was going to do at the appropriate time. That man is more than likely always on time. And if he's not, then you know something's wrong. That is a dependable man. All right. So that's number 2. Ladies, we've already gone through it. All right. Reasonable, number 1. Dependable, number 2. So number 3 on my list of relationship characteristics I think all men should have: consistency. A man should be reasonable, dependable, and consistent. Ladies. All right. So let's run through what that means. Right now, I feel like in the community and out here, we have people with a lot of health issues, and everybody's overly focused and hyper focused on mental health to the point where they keep diagnosing themselves. All right. Men keep diagnosing themselves with things. Everybody's really self-diagnosing themselves with things. But the one thing I want to talk about is mood when it comes to consistency. That's a big one. Men should not be as mercurial as women. What I mean by that is that your temperature, your emotional temperature, not your physical body temperature, your emotional temperature should not change with the wind like a woman's does. Women actually have biological, chemical reasons for their mood changing. A man cannot be like that. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of grace to some ethnic groups of men. I understand some of the things you're going through in society, and that many of you have adopted the behaviors of your mother because you were primarily raised by them with no father figure. That particular situation, I have sympathy for. I cannot empathize with you, but I do have sympathy for you if you are a man who was raised by a single mom and you adopted her behavior. So you believe that it's okay to be mercurial and change your mood all willy-nilly. All right. So I understand that. But even still, there's a time in your life where you're going to have to adopt the behavioral characteristics of a man to further get on with your life in a positive manner. You have to embody that type of consistency, men. You got to. It's imperative on the health of your relationship. And you will see it manifest itself in everything that you do every day. A man cannot be mercurial at work. I have personal stories where I could tell you my one split decision of an outbreak or a mood swing of any kind will cost you your leadership position. We've all seen it at work. You expect your leaders to be solid, and leaders are men. Okay. This world's leaders, everybody that we ultimately expect to take charge when no one else can, that person will be a man. Men cannot have these type of mood swings. You have to be consistent. Your emotional temperature cannot change with the wind. All right. That is real talk for y'all. Your emotional temperature cannot change with the wind. Y'all got to be solid. That's what I mean by being consistent. First and foremost. All right. You got the same answer to everything. Your woman asks you something, you act and react in a consistent manner over time. That is what consistency is supposed to mean for men, as in the emotional sense. In the physical sense, in the way you carry yourself and the way you treat your woman, you should also be consistent. All right. Everyone in your life should basically be able to predict your answer to things. That's how consistent you are. I believe personally, for me, I am extremely consistent in the way I discipline my children. My wife should not have to ask how I feel about it. When my children become teenagers and they really start on that train of being mischievous, that's the way my mother was. If you have to tell her, and it's an unavoidable situation in which you got to tell her something that you did because it was going to come out anyway, right? The teacher was going to send an email, something. She already told you how your daddy was going to feel about it. My mom told me, she said, boy, you better batten down the hat. You better wait. You better go in your room and hide. When your daddy finds out, it's a wrap for you. That's how consistent men need to be. People need to be able to predict your reactions to things. All right. When it comes to discipline for my kids, I believe I am as consistent as my father was. You understand? So, hey, anybody just joining now, thank y'all for joining, man. Thank y'all for watching and supporting. The topic is what relationship characteristics should all men have? Please put it in the chat if you believe that there are some relationship characteristics that you believe all men should have. You know, this is not an echo chamber. I love hearing people's perspectives on this. This is a positive topic that I really want men to drive home for other men, and I want women to listen in on it too, so they can understand that they should not be dating men who do not have these characteristics. So let me go into the chat, into the comments real quick. Oh, salute to my guy Savage, man. You were awesome yesterday, man. Thank you. All right, Judge Zilla, what's going on? Sway, I appreciate you stopping through. My shooting partner, my buddy, we're about to do a rifle class. If you're out here in Houston, get at me. We're about to do a rifle class, me and my man Hoodlum. You check out his page too. Damn. Well, either way, this is our shooting podcast, which I haven't been on in a couple months, but what's up to my man Hoodlum? Hoodlum, if you in there, put your stuff in the chat, by the way. I know your YouTube got messed up. But what's going on, Truth Seeker? I see you, man. I appreciate your support. Hey, look, I'm going to put this up here to comment on, all right? Characteristic number 1, the man should not have a vagina. Well, you're going to have to elaborate what you mean, Judge Zilla, but elaborate that, and then I'm going to comment because I want to make sure I got the proper context in which you want to say it. All right. Again, what's up, Savage? What up, Big Bad Bull? What's going on? Oh, it's been more than months. Man, Hoodlum, get out of here. But anyway, y'all come up and chop it up with me, man. If y'all want to hit the link and come up and talk with your boy, please let me know. All right. But I have laid it out for y'all. Those are my top 3. Reasonable, dependable, consistent. All right. The 3 relationship characteristics all men should have. All right. So what do you believe are the characteristics that all men should have? Please make sure, you jump on. Let me know your thoughts on that as we rock out. So going back into the topic, what I see a lot of ladies doing, and if you ever see me on any of these panels and it looks like I have smoke for ladies, I'm going to tell you where this stems from. I have spent years, probably 4 or 5 years now, if I'm being honest. I've spent about 4 or 5 years listening to women complain. And this was prior to 2020. Let me say that. Prior to 2020, I spent about 4 or 5 years listening to women complain. And I let women in my life drive the narrative that men won't shit. Right? Because women experience men. Because I say that all the time. So I had to give that grace to the women. Women experience men. So they have a viewpoint and know some things about us that maybe another man cannot experience because we're not in a relationship with other men, unless, you're other than hetero or something. So I'm like, okay, women experience men, so we can get valid points out of their experience. Then the 2020 census came out, y'all. The 2020 census came out and it changed everything for me. Most black men under 40 don't have kids. Most black men were basically, most black were in the middle class. The numbers have shifted because of the pandemic, but still the pay and everything is going to shift right along with it. So I'll say it in earnest. Most black men are in the middle class. So it's like, oh, the CDC said black men are the best fathers in America. So I realized that we let our women dictate. We let them create a narrative for us that was completely untrue. So what I started to realize, and the way I dealt with this problem, was any woman that got smoked for a man, you need to first explain what the thing, you explain this man's character to me. Explain his job situation, explain his criminal record, whether he has one or not. Explain why you chose him and what attracted you to this man before you complain about him. And my whole perspective changed, y'all. My whole perspective changed. If you make women explain why they get with men that do them wrong, then you will have an epiphany of sorts, a whole epiphany that'll tell you they are choosing men based on superficial qualities and not substantive ones. All right. So when it seems like I got smoke for women, I really have smoke for that particular thing. If you were talking about men like me, I would have smoke for those men. All right. If you out here in this world claiming to be, you're an upstanding man and you want to take care of your family, you're family oriented, family focused, community focused, you need to be doing that. We don't need any more stragglers. We don't need any more pookies out here. We need men to face forward, face front, and lead the community through our actions. So if these were the men that these women were talking about, I'd have nothing but smoke for the men. These are not the men these women are talking about. They make choices based on how hard their box jumps when they see the dude. They make choices based off of rock hard abs and the car he drives and how well he's stunting because he spent his whole check, or he's out there scamming and stuff and spending money that's not even really his. They pick men based off of superficial things. I couldn't believe it. I had a whole epiphany. All right. So welcome to everybody. K Boogie, what's up? Thank you for stopping through. They pick men this way. I had a whole epiphany and said, I will no longer accept slander to men without justification. You have to justify to me why this man was so wrong. And as I said in that short video, when you break it down and make women explain why they chose these men that they are with, they will say this man was they will sum it up to say this man was either unreasonable, undependable, or inconsistent. So I'm coming on here to tell you ladies, all right? So I need you to tell a friend to tell a friend, text a friend to text a friend to watch this video. I'm here to tell you ladies that you should not be dating a man. You should not be giving the box to a man. You should not marry a man. And most importantly, you should not be birthing children for a man who does not have those three characteristics. At least he don't even need to be kind for real. He doesn't even need to be articulate. But is he reasonable? Is he dependable? Is he consistent? That is what a mature woman can love forever. Y'all got complaints for dudes you can only love for a night. The only spark you get from him is the one that makes you put your ass up in the air. That is what we call horizontal submission. You should want to be with a man that you can vertically submit to with your brain, with your logic, with your cooperation. But y'all are vertically submitting to the wrong men who do not have these. Horizontally submitting through sex to men who do not have these basic characteristics. And it needs to stop. Like, I always got smoke for men, or really, when I think about it, I don't talk to men who don't have these characteristics. When I look at my friend circle, before I make this point, let me break it all the way down. Why is it that men like me who are trying, right? I'm never going to call myself the best. I'm trying to be a good man. All right. That's all we can do. I'm trying to be a good man. Why is it that I know all the good men? I could write 1,000 down on paper. So a lot of these men are single. A lot of these men are waiting. They're just not bothered with the superficial things and activities and tendencies that the men, women tend to choose are doing. These men are not always at the club. These men are not always doing stuff like that. They're actually working. I got a homeboy that makes serious bread just editing videos. Okay. He works just like the people in the East Indian people work. He edits videos and does graphics all day, makes hella bread. He's in the crib. He'll come out. He'll have a drink. He'll say, anybody want to come out? And he'll do his thing. And the women call him a nerd. I bet you if you saw his bank account, he wouldn't be a nerd though. I bet he wouldn't be a nerd when you saw that dude bank account and the car he's driving, because he's in the cars, You wouldn't think he was a nerd then. Dude he's quiet. I guess we like to call him that. Dude is pretty quiet, but he's dependable. He got his head on straight. Ask him what he wants to do with his life and how he expects to take care of his family. He will verbalize that to you. He has an answer, ladies. When you ask a dude like that, what's his 5-year plan? He got a 15-year plan for you. But y'all don't want those dudes, though. Daryl, I see you. What's up, my guy? No, they don't want to be saved, bro. Look at my man Daryl Long here. Hey, Daryl, you dropped some serious knowledge last night, bro, on JP's show, by the way. So thanks for that. Salute to you for that, my guy. But they don't want to be saved. I don't know what to say for this particular time that we're in. But one thing that we're noticing, and a cycle that we see perpetuated in our current society, is that women do not want what they are asking for. Women do not want what they are asking for. I want a good man. There are good men out here. All women keep saying, and all they keep giving is excuses. Well, there are more women than men. Okay, let's marry off the 2-point-something million eligible men out here before we start talking about there ain't no good men. And I'm referring to black men. Let's marry off the eligible ones before we start talking about who's not eligible. All right, let's do that. Y'all need to realize, man, that these complaints are piling up and the math ain't mathing, ladies. This is not smoke for y'all. This is actually help. If you are mature enough to receive it, you'll realize that this is actually help. There are men right now. I'm on these panels almost every day. Men right now assembling. And the one thing I want y'all to know is that we don't just have our tribulations to share with you. We don't just have our trials and tribulations to share with you. We have our outcomes, our great outcomes to share with you. We out here living the life, y'all. So when, I realized a long time ago, a lot of men need to come out here and change the narrative that's been out here for us. Y'all have been out here giving us a bad name and misrepresenting us. We out here to tell you that we are married. What are you talking about? I will tell you straight up, and something I say on many platforms. Every family that exists, especially in the black community today, it was a black man's will that created that family. He willed it so. He said, I'm going to marry this woman in an effort to bring forth stability and consistency and a reasonable attitude and a dependable state of mind to put her in that, to create a family that'll better the community. A black man created that family. So you got to give credit. I understand that, only 33 to 35% of black men are married. But every single one of those men willed it so. They wanted to create a black family. So they did. So every good outcome the black community has in the manner of speaking, as it pertains to families, is because of black men. So we need to understand that faithfully. It's because of black men that the numbers that are good exist. So give us some credit. Give us some freaking credit. And we are out here on YouTube telling you can create the exact same life. You can create the exact same life you want with a little bit of direction and maturity. You can create the exact same life, any life you want. You got a baby mama that's not cooperating, ask for help. We got people to help you. I got people to direct you. That's what I'm here to be right now. Right now, I'm an associate, but I'm going to work my way up to president or vice president. Right now, I'm an associate of YouTube. All right. Of the advocacy for men's health, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm an associate. I just started in this game. I'm an infant. But I'm telling you, I'm working my way up to the top because y'all need help and I'm here to help you. I'll direct you to who you need to go to. All right. If you want to see how a Pookie does it, how he keeps on the straight and narrow, I got a dude for you. If you want to see how a multimillionaire does it and keeps his family together, I got a dude for you. If you want to see how a dude's struggling with a woman in his house, but he's trying to make it work, we got dudes for that. This is where you come for your perspective. I don't want to say just help because this isn't therapy, but you can get perspective from here. That's what's missing from the community right now. All right. You see how people are reluctant to get into therapy. I feel that. Okay. I worked in mental health for a very long time. I understand why people do not want to go to formal therapy. What is missing, because nobody wants to go, you don't trust a therapist. I feel like people on YouTube, is as silly as it may sound, you can relate to me. That's why people want to talk, and want to get their perspective from, the Anton Daniels, the JPs, the Aaron O's, the Brittany B. Men and women can come on here and get their perspective. It's just like, how is somebody living that has done it or is doing it? I can relate to this person. So don't let anybody ever tell you that this stuff is just unnecessary noise. It's not. After we get off YouTube, we live in a real life. We live in a real life, creating real outcomes, building real families. All right. Let me get back in this chat. All right. What's going on, Deborah? Thank you for coming. She said, I used to love to climb up muddy hills, meaning I was consistently chasing after the tall, good-looking F-boy. They were broke, and I wanted to save them. Then I woke up. Hey, look, Deborah, thank you so much for that. Thank you for being honest. This is what I feel like the modern woman is doing. And if you could, you don't even got to cam up. Just come and tell us the story and elaborate a little bit. Click that StreamYard link pinned to the top of the chat. Big Bad Bull also has it running in the chat, in the comments as well. But come and tell us, if you can, a little bit about that story. All right. I'd love to hear it. This is what I feel like women are doing. What I really feel like is that a lot of women, especially today, I've called it a few things. Y'all are dreamers. This is the Disney generation. I say it all the time. Y'all were raised by Disney, Oprah, and Tyler Perry. Really, we all were, but some of us snapped out quicker than the others. Some of us snapped out of it, right? Because in my particular case, I was getting a dual education. Everything that Disney was trying to teach, that fantasy fairy tale life, Oprah and Tyler Perry with their productions and that stuff right now is just sacrilege to me. But either way, everything they were trying to teach and that they were putting out, I was getting an opposite education in my home. I was being taught how to be a husband, and all of that stuff conflicted. All right. So I know everybody wasn't privileged enough to have that. You see what I'm saying? So that really made me think like, oh man, when it came to the way women choose men in today's society, this is the problem. And I believe that women approach these situations with a type of arrogance, because I believe it's a bit arrogant and overreaching to think that you can actually change somebody. All right. So that tall, good-looking F-boy, I'm not going to call him the devil, but for those of you that went to church, this is the representation of the way the devil presents himself. Everything you want in a superficial sense. You need the carrots, the vegetables, but you're going after the candy because it looks good, it tastes good, all of that. So, these dudes that y'all are talking about, it's not that you can't get lucky and not get one. Of course you can. Of course you can. But does that man have the qualities that we've been talking about this whole show? You can get a dude that has all of these qualities, but he better have the substantive qualities that will make a relationship work. So you don't have to be on here complaining about it. Does he have those substantive qualities? Is he reasonable? Is he dependable? Is he consistent? If you overlook those, you will suffer for it. Deborah says again, it wasn't easy at first. My husband doesn't want me to go on panels, but I'll keep contributing in the chat. Hey, I can respect that. I can freaking respect that. Thank you for contributing either way, Deborah. I appreciate that. But no, I can understand that won't easy. And I can definitely understand your husband not wanting you to, come on panels. But either way, thank you for contributing. I feel like a lot of women are going through this, and y'all have heard me talk about it on panels before. We're going through something now that I'd like to call the new traditional woman's movement. I saw a video the other day. I'm not going to take time or take a break because I don't have a moderator, moderating the StreamYard for me. So I would love to show y'all a video I saw the other day of a woman just basically denouncing feminism, coming out as an anti-feminist, basically saying y'all ladies are tripping. She snapped out of it like we just talked about. She snapped out of it and said, I don't want no more of this hating men BS. She said, I don't want no more of this hating men narrative that feminists try to push. She is crossing over to the new traditional woman's movement. What that movement is a woman that realizes that men are our chosen companions. Not only should I be able to work and contribute to my family through a career, as is your right, ladies. Nobody's trying to stop y'all from working. Do you understand me? Nobody is trying to stop you from working. Get that narrative out of your head. It was created by feminism to give you an enemy to target. Black men especially. Let me tell you something that's really interesting. If 70% of black men alive today were raised primarily by a single mother, then that makes black men the most agreeable men to a woman working. Most of their mothers were working women to support them. So that makes a black man the most agreeable man in the United States of America when it comes to women working. He's the most agreeable. So don't put us in that conversation. Don't put black men in that conversation when it comes to men not wanting women to work. You are talking about a minuscule amount of men in general, to be honest. Now we can go to the other end of that spectrum and say, look, do you see the prices of stuff out here? Everyone needs dual incomes. If you want to live the life, if you want your children to live the life that you would see fit for them, if you want them to have extra paid activities, it is always taking two incomes. Ask immigrants. Okay. How many women out here that do you know are willing to live under what the average man can provide? I'll say that again. How many women do you know that are willing to live under what the average man can provide? All right. Not many women are willing to do it. Y'all got to understand that. Not many women are willing to live under what the average man can provide. So by that alone, you will work and contribute, and your contribution is welcome. And to many households, it's necessary. So you don't need to come out and say and use that feminist narrative that black men don't want women to work. They are the most agreeable men to women working in the United States of America because the mother that raised them worked. She had to in order to provide for those children if the father was not involved, even if he was involved. All right. So I want to cancel that narrative out. Ali, I see you, my guy. Thank you for supporting. Sugar Bun, what's up? My favorite troll. What's going on? All right. But yeah, let's get into it. Anybody, thank y'all for joining, man. The topic is what relationship characteristics should all men have? All right. So I've said, again, reasonable, dependable, consistent. Those are the three characteristics that all men need to have in order to be eligible for a relationship with a woman. Okay. So what, if you want to add to that, ladies especially, y'all experience men. So that's one of my big things. I feel like y'all have a perspective that is necessary because y'all experience us the same way we have a perspective you don't have because we experience y'all. So if you feel like there's a characteristic that you need all men to have that I have not stated, please put that in the chat or jump on and dialogue with me. All right. My man Ali says, families would thrive if a woman wanted enough for a family. Men went to work to finance the woman and child. Women went to work to say they don't need a man and to finance luxury. Ooh, that is you. Hey, Ali, man, when I say you have some well thought through points on this, and it hurts me when you get smoked for saying it because we know the smoke is misguided. You usually get a ad hominem attack when you say these type of things because they can't attack the argument. You see it, we see it on the panel. I just want to know you got somebody rooting for you that's really keeping score. Like, yo, you couldn't attack the argument, so you had to attack him. But let's talk to the fact of what you said to finance luxury. Remember, I said yesterday, I believe that if a woman is doing well enough, you can't really help but to finance luxury. That's one thing. Men like luxury too, so we got to say that, right? But what the point I think you're making and the point I want to drive home is if you ask certain women what their purpose for working is, traditional women of sorts, most likely immigrant women, right? They will say for the betterment of my household, the advancement of my family, and for my community. In fact, when you really look at it, the same way that I said that most women would not live under what the average man can provide, I can tell you a lot of immigrant women I've encountered, they work basically just to put their children through activities. Literally, that's it. They work just to send their family on trips. It's like this dude take care of everything, busting his tail. He even moved us. I had a family I knew that moved to the husband could barely afford it, but they wanted their kids to move into a better school district. So his income was depleted. So the wife got a job just so the kids could go to swimming, basketball, all that. You know what I mean? So they could do activities. That's how much these women love their family, not to finance luxury, to better their children's lives. So I feel like that's something that women have always done, whether it was back in, before the 60s and prior to working in the church, doing some kind of community service that was paid. All right. Women have always done that stuff to better the lives of their family. Now we have, women that make a lot of money or more than their man. And you're right. They're doing it to finance luxury. And they diss the men that cannot finance that luxury for them. But they say they want a good man. This may be a topic for another show, but I'm going to dive into it a little bit right now. Ladies, if you want to date a man in your social age group, meaning, I guess, 2 to 3 years within your age group, same age or older than you, do not expect him to make more money than you. I do not understand why women do that. I don't understand it at all. Why do you expect a man who graduated college in the same year as you to make like $50,000 more than you? Men do not get paid more, especially in the same profession. That was another lie feminism taught you. It really, you know what? I don't even believe it was taught. I believe y'all actually believed it. I believe they thought that it was, but they weren't good at research. They were looking at the wrong research because the gender pay gap has been debunked. And when we say that, what we're saying is the gender pay gap on the reason for discrimination has been debunked. There is a gender pay gap, and it's not because women are being discriminated against. In fact, in the studies that have been done, it is one of the smallest infinitesimal factors there is as to why that gap exists. Small infinitesimal factor as to why that gap exists. All right, so let's get to Sugar Bum. You're going crazy. So let me say this. Sugar Bum says, Mike, marriage to modern men don't benefit black women. Sugar Bum, you throw out a lot of points. And I think, watching you talk, and I believe that you're pretty consistent with your dialogue. I will say that you're pretty consistent with your dialogue. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of pushback because I don't experience men. You do. So if you are dealing with men and this is your experience, I believe it's a valid experience. All right? There is no way. Let me preface this by saying I will never give any problems or any smoke to a woman who is working, taking care of herself, and doesn't want to deal with a man. Because being a wife is some work. It's some work. It takes dedication. It takes sacrifice. Those words are not sexy. You understand? I get that, Sugar Bum. If you look at those words that way, dedication, sacrifice, that's taxing work, then it's no benefit for you to marry. But I will never give you any smoke for that. But the issue is that most marriages involve children. As a matter of fact, most relationships that go on long enough, especially if they're cohabitating, will eventually involve children being born into it. And that's when all bets are off. You better be ready to go down that damn aisle. That's who I got smoke for. That's why I'm on YouTube. I'm not really talking to you, Sugar Bum, or anybody who's trying to stay single who don't got time. But if you got children, you should think enough of them to make sure they got a stable father figure in your life. And I don't have to read the statistics out to you. Everybody knows what they are. All right. You need a father in that home. So think enough of your children, not you. I don't know if you have children, Sugar Bum, but think enough of your children to be actively and relentlessly seeking a stable father figure for them, because the outcomes between children with dads and without dads are drastically different. And that is irrefutable. We will never get to a time where we're saying, well, single parenthood doesn't matter if somebody's a single parent or not. Never be a time where that is actually true. What's up, Tim? Thank you for coming by. Thank you for showing love. All right. Sugar Bum says she has no kids. So Sugar Bum, we got no smoke. No smoke. I don't tell people how to live their lives in fact, let me just say this. I understand. Remember, my wife, sometimes I just look at her and say, hey, look, you can't be doing that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat and deleting messages. Sometimes I'm looking at her like, damn, this wife stuff is work, right? I can sympathize with that because maybe I've been doing this husband thing for a while. Sometimes I don't see the other end of the spectrum and how hard it is for her. So I can understand why a woman may see her married friends and would not want to do that. But if you got kids, all bets are off. All bets are off. You better figure out that you automatically go in to dedication and sacrifice mode. It ain't about you no more. All right. And I don't mean that as a sense in a life of servitude, but the reason why I think you really shouldn't look at it that way is because once you have kids, you now live in a life of servitude. Anyway, you live in a life of servitude to that kid. So you might as well just go ahead and do the marriage thing too. Dedicate yourself to that too. All right. Deborah says, we live in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. I learned so much from them regarding how to rear children. They put everything into their children. They sacrifice for them. And that is why they win, or this is why they win. So listen, we have the examples out here, as Deborah just said. All right. This is not to take away from anyone or anybody that's doing it. All right. If you're doing it, if you uphold the principles by yourself without needing to look to these other communities, kudos to you. You have my full support, and I thank you for doing that. But we have the examples out here. All right, Deborah, I'm Nigerian. I don't need to look to the Jewish community. I look at my own community. In my particular eyes, they're not better than we are. They're not better than we are. But that's a community that has gone through something that people feel like is notable. All right, that's important to note. But let me just go to the part where you said they put everything into their children. Y'all will hear me say on these platforms over and over again, I cannot leave my wife. We have children now. The day my daughter was born, my first child, the day my first child was born is a wrap. I put away childish things. She did not ask to be here. I have to sacrifice everything. Those nights out at the club with my buddies, drinking and looking at big booties, gone. Everything superficial that does not lead to the advancement of my family and the ultimate care of my children and wife, gone. That is depressing to most men. That realization is depressing to most men, which again, ladies, is why you should not pick men without these basic characteristics. If a man is reasonable, dependable, and consistent, he will understand that he needs to give up childish things in order to provide for his family. This is what women out there are trying to change men into. You can't change men to these characteristics if they don't want to accept them. You can't make them have them. Okay? It is a conversation he needs to have with himself. He needs to fully submit. Y'all see that word come? We need to start using that word to describe what we do as men when it comes to these particular situations. We submit to that fact that we now have to dedicate everything to the protection and provision of this family. Y'all should have seen it. I was in the delivery room when my daughter was born. I didn't breathe. I did not breathe for a second because I'm like, this is real. I cut her umbilical cord and said, this is my responsibility. Oh, you're giving this baby to me and putting my last name on her birth certificate? This is my child to care for and rear for the rest of her life and provide her with guidance and protection so a man doesn't come through and railroad her and put her life on a course that she was not destined for? It's my responsibility to do that? That's heavy, y'all. That's heavy. That is the way y'all need to be picking men. These are the type of men y'all need to be choosing that have this type of foresight and plan to look out for their children and their wife. I was about to say wives. Their children and their wife. They are out here, and they need to have these three basic characteristics I'm talking about. So thank you for sharing. Sugar Bomb, let me put this up here. Mike, has anyone told you you're a unicorn? Sugar Bomb, we go back and forth. I am not a unicorn. I promise you. You didn't come in early enough, I don't think. I don't think you came in early enough. But I said, how come I know all the good dudes? I'm telling you, I promise you. If you take some time, and I'm going to just use the common model people use, you can change a habit in 30 days. In 30 days, you can really change a habit and say, I'm not accepting no more toxicity. I'm gonna leave everybody on red that I get those toxic vibes for. If my body is geared toward getting excited for this type of person, I'm just gonna pause. I'm gonna pause for a second. I'm not going to engage off rip because that's what I always do. Not saying you're doing that, Sugar Mom. I'm just giving an example. I'm gonna pause for a second and wait and just see, is this toxic for me? And I'm gonna give the other guy with these substantive qualities. I'm gonna ask him questions. I'm gonna press him. Listen, when you ask a man, like I said before, his 5-year plan, he gives you a 15-year plan, and then you say, what do you do for a living? How do you execute these things? And he gives you a plan for that too. These are the things that make mature women get excited. Mature women get excited about that. All right. So I really need our women to become more mature. And the reason why I say right now we're in a state of immaturity and arrogance is because if you are looking for superficial qualities instead of substantive ones, you are immature. I'm telling you right now, if I was a woman, I would not be, I would understand that a dude with a certain job who drives a certain car is not making money. He's spending his money irresponsibly. I used to be the car guy. I had a Jaguar in college. I was very superficial and I knew exactly what I was doing. All right. I used to be that guy in a sense, knowing that women are going to look at the car. Well, I'm a bad example. I was actually making money. But either way, I knew women would look at the car and I would activate a certain part of them that was not substantive. All right. They're not going to look into any of my substantive qualities because I'm going to get the ass basically because they like superficial stuff. All right. So, ladies, you can change that around. It's time to go into a culture and an era of maturity. Okay. So, my man, Shooting the Shit podcast, I'll have to disagree on the you can't leave your wife because you have kids. As someone who lived DV, I'd ask you why you must stay in something even if it kills you. So, I'm never talking about that. That's my man Hoodlum. That's my shooting buddy, co-instructor, everything like that. So, I'm not talking about that stuff. The scale that I use, and this is why I say I'm never leaving my wife. I'm never leaving my wife. My wife, and she's not like that. So, whenever you always barely anything equates to you leaving your spouse. That's the way it's looked at in most cultures where you see people stay together. There's no reason. There's nothing you can do. So right now in our society, we're like, oh, they cheated. Doesn't matter. When you take those vows, like, look, it's also telling you you're stronger than you think you are. You're just making weak decisions. So the time where you can make a decision to leave your spouse, you got to see how it weighs. On one end, you have leaving your spouse. On the other end, you have whatever is going to make you leave your spouse. Okay. Let me use the Tom Brady example again. We can't speculate what really happened in their relationship, but we think we know, right? So Tom Brady wants to go. He came out of retirement again, which was the last straw for his wife. But coming out of retirement is 17 games of football. 17 games of football, and his wife had to make a decision to say, I'm going to divorce him and possibly give my kids serious mental health and behavioral issues, as happens in divorce. Those things can happen in divorce. Okay? Those things can happen in divorce. Your children can get serious mental health and behavioral issues. That changes the dynamic of their lives. They'll have serious problems getting in meaningful relationships. So if you put that up against 17 games of football, giving my kids serious mental health and behavioral issues, it does not equate. Now, what can equate? This woman is physically and emotionally damaging to me and my child. My child is seeing it in front of her or backwards. He's hitting you in front of the children. Put those things together, that equates. Most of the people in the world from any culture are going to understand. You are putting your children in a bad situation. So that we can definitely much understand. So Sugar Bum says he's selfish. I think she's talking about Tom Brady. He is selfish. So Tom Brady is selfish for doing that. This is actually, if we're to be correct, this is the third time he said he was going to retire. But what I'm saying, Sugar Bum, is you take that up with your husband. So 17 times 3, right? You take that up with your husband. What is that? 51? 51 games of football. Correct me if I'm wrong. But 51 games of football is not worth leaving your husband over. It's football. Okay? Whenever you equate that, and this is something that I saw a long time ago. Sugar Bum, listen to me real quick. I wanted to know, based on these type of situations, I've only seen one study ever done like this. So, take that with a grain of salt. What percentage of people regret the divorce when it doesn't have like DV or SA or anything like that happen? What percentage of people regret their first divorce? I think this is their first husband. Their first divorce. It was over 50%. Over half the people, after they've had time to calm down, after you've had time to calm down, you no longer mad about what made you divorce that person. That speaks volumes to me. That's why I do that weight scale the way I do it. Barely anything equates to ruining your marriage, especially if children are involved. This is what I'm saying, Hoodlum. I'm saying barely anything equates to doing that type of stuff, that emotional, mental, and behavioral damage to your children. Now, of course, your situation is warranted. It's not really for me to say, it's really for the creator, but nobody's going to blame you from the stuff that you told me. And if it was on a woman's end, nobody damn sure going to blame her. Right? So, hey, if y'all just coming in, thank y'all for rocking with me. All right. The topic is, what relationship characteristics should all men have? Please go ahead and put your thoughts about that in the chat. I'm going to read them off. The link is at the top of the chat pin there. So if you want to come up and talk with me, chop it up, let me know, and just hop on to the link. All right. So let me go up to this Sugar Bum comment real quick. Oh, well, Sugar Bum says, this is in reference to Tom Brady. She says she gave up her career for a man that couldn't do the same thing, even though they agreed upon it. I guess you're right. All the speculating we're doing, they basically validated and to TMZ. So I'm not sure she gave up her career. I got to be real honest about that. I'm not sure she gave up her career. That sounds like a talking point in order to move the people and the judges and people like that over in her favor. Listen, when women have children, like literally the statistics go against her. She is a model. She's already aged out of her prime. That's not me saying that. That's literally the lifespan of models. Now, she was the top model. I am acknowledging that. But what we did not see Gisele Bündchen do is change that role of being a model into a. She hasn't really adopted that role of the older model. She just stopped. She kind of just went out on top. So I don't buy it that she gave up her career. She aged out of her career. Okay, even the ones that were young, that were like right in the same time or came a little bit after her, they've aged out. I don't see Adriana Lima all over the place no more. I don't see these women out here no more. I don't see what's the plus size one? I don't see Takara gracing the cover of these magazines no more. They've all aged out. 30 something, it's it. That's it. You got to go to the admin side of things. You better get you a show on a network doing some kind of Project Runway type stuff because you've aged out. So that's my pushback for that, Sugar Bum. I don't believe she gave up her career. I believe she aged out. And when you get with men like Tom Brady, especially, I mean, this is really incomparable because he's the greatest quarterback that ever lived. If the dude don't want to stop playing, look, not too many people are going to jump on his back. All right, he's having a very terrible year. His wife should be sitting in the house, taking care of everything, living in that big ass mansion. Like, I told you not to go back. I told you I had smoke for you when you eventually do retire. But this is the stuff we can talk about. She should be there supporting her man as she agreed to in the beginning. Now, Sugar Bum, I'm not saying that this should be swept under the rug. I don't like when people say that or when men say that. I believe she should have serious smoke for him. All right, whether it is they end up in therapy, and she's saying this really hurt me. I felt like you completely ignored everything that we said. I've been wanting to get on with our lives in a different way, absent of football. This thing consumes your whole life. Even you got to understand, when he's not on, if you've ever watched anything on Tom Brady, he obsesses over football. So he's not even available when he's home. He's not even available in the off season. So I can completely understand why she would want him to retire. But you don't leave your husband over some games of football. Ladies, what did I say? Dedication, sacrifice. You're not willing to do it, this institution of marriage is not for you. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So Sugar Bum says again, plenty of older models have lasting careers. So you believe, you'll see where I said she didn't transition. Plenty of older models do have lasting careers. I don't believe it's not Brooke Shields. Damn. Oh, I used to know all these models. A lot of them used to be on Baywatch, and they used to be like celebrity guest hosts on everything, on all the shows that I watched as a kid. And to be honest with me, I never really could understand why. Oh, that's another thing. Somebody says Eva Marcel here. A lot of them transition into acting. Eva Marcel doing her thing right now. Giselle, I don't know why women are so afraid to say, I just wanted to be a mom. Like, why couldn't she just want to be a mom? What she had a fantastic career. She was the top model in the world. The top. I remember when she came out. The top model. Why isn't that good enough? Why she even got to do anything else with her life? Especially if you're married to Tom Brady. Especially if you're married to that guy. You don't really need to do much in the way of being legendary. Her legacy, her legend is already sealed. Okay, but on the topic of older models have lasting careers, she ain't transitioned to being an older model. She didn't transition to that. We know that they usually do those Project Runway shows. Then they show up giving coaching and guidance to the new wave of models coming through. Then they do commercials for Slim Fast and Jenny Craig. They have a pipeline for these women. She ain't in that pipeline yet, but I believe, I'm speculating here, but I believe it's because she got young children. There's nothing wrong with being a mom and wanting to enjoy your children before they leave the house. Why are women so afraid to admit that? There is look, let a black man say it so women can hear it. There is honor in that, ladies. There is honor in that. I got smoke for anybody that says a woman that wants to focus on her children in their prime, in their developmental years, in which your presence is so important and necessary. That is the most honorable thing a woman can do and sacrifice for her family. All right. So I believe that's what she's doing. So I don't want to say, but she definitely aged out of modeling. Yo, Ricky Webster, what's going on? Thanks for coming through. All right, Tam, I see you. How you doing? Oh, we talking about models now? We changed the subject. Hey, go on and tell me, you know what? What qualities, remember, the current topic is what relationship characteristics should all men have? All right. I want to actually put up, no, I ain't going to do that. I want to say, I wonder what kind of dude Tom Brady is outside of football. Because he got a kid outside of football. A lot of people don't know that. I believe the actress's name is Bridget Moynihan. Yeah, because something about their marriage, I was like, whose kid is that? And when they got married, that was his kid from that Bridget Moynihan actress. So he got a kid. So he's already, I don't think he didn't marry that lady. I don't believe he could have. But yeah, I wonder what kind of dude he is outside of that marriage. Yeah. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Yeah. Anybody wants to join the panel, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Go ahead and come up and rock with your boy. The topic is, what relationship characteristics should all men have? I believe that all men should be reasonable, dependable, and consistent. You got to make sure you have these characteristics in order to be eligible for a woman. All right. We talked earlier about women not choosing men who do not have these characteristics. I'm interested in talking about, I'm interested in talking about it all, really, when you want to think about it. I believe it's important for men to have these characteristics because it's really what's missing out of society. As I said before, a lot of men, unfortunately, and I do have sympathy for this, were raised by single moms and have adopted the characteristics of their mother. That does not work well into adulthood. It does not work well in leadership. It does not translate well into the job role. It can affect your chances for advancement if you are snappish and mercurial and your mood changes and you have mood swings. That can severely hurt a man's advancement at work. So you look at these things that are happening to the modern man and you're saying, the man needs to change their behavior. But then you look at that these men are still getting in relationships. They're still having children and teaching these bad characteristics. All right. So it's very important for a man to be reasonable. I believe I had a conversation with my sister-in-law. And I think she was saying, you know what she was doing? She was doing that thing where you nitpick at the man because of his habits. He don't pick up his clothes, and I don't like that, and I don't like the way his bathroom is set up. I said you can't really do those type of things because I think most men are disgusting in that way. I mean, we can disagree, but I think most men are disgusting in that way. All right. But if you get with a reasonable man, if y'all move in together or you just feel like asking him, hey, I spend most of my time here. If you let him know what your plan is to clean that place up, do something different with it, most reasonable men will just be like, all right. That's what women bring to our lives. Y'all can bring organization into a man's life. A reasonable man will just shrug his shoulders and be like, if you want to do something nice for him and just go to TJ Maxx and get the nice little bathroom set, get him a rug and clean that whole area up, a reasonable man gonna let you do it. That's why I said I told her stop focusing on individual small things that you want a man to have. That is how people end up single, if y'all really want to be honest, because no man has everything. And then the worst part about it is when a man has too much of one thing, you'll forget about all the others. So just make sure a man is reasonable and you can request almost anything from him and get a yes. Anything within reason, of course. Again, I said a man needs to be dependable. Fellas, that one is huge, maybe because my entire life I've gotten my ass whooped for not being dependable. Anything I've ever done from a young age that made me untrustworthy or unreliable, I got my ass whooped for. I'm the oldest of 4 children. All right. My parents didn't play that with me. They understood that my upbringing was the most essential because everything I do, my siblings will do. That's how we got down in my household. I had to be overly dependable. You had to over depend on me. All right. So we're talking really all of it, Tam. Marriage, single, dating. Well, you know what? Let me just say this. You shouldn't get to marriage or dating if the man doesn't have these 3 characteristics. Shouldn't get to any of that. That's really what I'm saying. All right. So I'm going to wind it down. Man, thank y'all for rocking with me. Please support the channel, man. I know I'm a new channel, but I love the fact that I have people in here in the chat contributing to the dialogue. This was really impromptu, but I'm going to just keep doing this. We got to get this message out there. It's not just about the smoke. We want to offer solutions too. Please tell a friend to tell a friend, text a friend to text a friend, like, share, subscribe, let people know, especially on this one. I want people to know that these are the characteristics a man should have to be eligible for a relationship with a woman. All right. So y'all be good. Thank y'all for rocking with me, and I'll see y'all on the next one.